why we are still living full of hope, even in this time of pandemic. Thank you for the assurance that you are with us, protecting and keeping us safe from all harms, sickness, and other states of difficulty. Thank you for gathering us today to learn and to grow in spirit and in mind. May this training equip us once again, especially in the field of our services to our clients, in the library and among ourselves. Bless our trainer and all of us that we may grow together in learning and doing the tasks which you entrusted to us. This is our prayer. In Jesus' name, amen and amen.
You may all now sit down. Thank you so much, Reverend Father. Now, to officially welcome everyone, let us hear from our acting university librarian. Please help me welcome, with a round of applause, Assistant Professor Rosalina G. Pinas.
Ladies and gentlemen, my colleagues in the profession, and to those who are joining with us in social media, welcome to our second series of training program on the topic, Events Programming in the Virtual Environment. Librarianship is a profession, is more on connecting people with the information needed by our customers as they seek in whatever format it is available. Thus, this is what we are currently doing in our virtual library service. We connect to our users either in live chat or in email to help us, our students, faculty, access and use information. This is librarianship as a profession. Event programming is another skill that will be added to our profession as we serve our clients in the virtual environment. Welcome to another teaching and learning moment. Together, we can share this knowledge which will enrich our skills for effective and efficient library service. To my colleagues, welcome to another opportunity to learn in our university library's academic life. I am sure with this training, it will improve professional competencies, which is vital to our organizational success.
So thank you so much, Ma'am Binoy. Welcome and good afternoon, everyone. And welcome to another day of learning, fun, and development. So today we will be joined by our very own ICT manager as he will be sharing to us his topic entitled Virtual Events Programming in the Virtual Environment. So I think today will be another challenging day for everyone, especially since we will all be having an activity after the presentation. Anyways, before we go deeper to the program, let me first share to you our house rules for today's activity. Okay, so we only have 3 house rules. Number 1, please turn your mobile phones or any gadgets that you are using into silent mode, so as to not for us not to disturb the presentation. And secondly, second is please let us all listen to the presentation and cooperate with all the activities after the presentation. And lastly, please don't forget to take the survey questionnaires for yesterday's webinar. And also, please stay updated with another link, which is another survey questions for evaluation survey for today's seminar. Also. Okay, so I hope everyone is guided right now with all our house. Okay, so let us now go to our main event. Our speaker for today, I think you know all of him. So he is a man that needs no introduction. Please help me welcome our very own ICT manager. Let us give a round of applause to Sir Rey Dennis Caballero.
Good afternoon, everyone. Many are asking about the topic for this afternoon kay naman ko yung word na programming. So many also thought that we will be doing a program for the computer this afternoon. Can you share the screen, Nick? So the title of our topic for this afternoon is Events Programming in the Virtual Environment. In simplistic terms, it only means that we will be doing events organizing planning for the online environment, right? All of us, I'm sure, have already done one way or the other mga activities for the library, kamay the plans, and of course, for those watching in social media, your interest came because most likely you're an events organizer yourself. So this is a very opposite to the profession that I'm doing, which is ICT. However, I will mix it with what we are currently undergoing, which is of course the pandemic. We are more into the virtual environment, all right? So I combine both platforms, which is events organizing plus virtual environment. Allow me to be here because the camera is in front, and if I will go down most of the times, Nico will be adjusting our cameras. And after all, we have watchers. Yesterday we had at least 20. Most likely now we have 15, eh? 17 already. So we will cater to all of those people also. Anyway, the workshop part, I will be going down already. So bear with the setup na I have fixed here now because it will be very difficult for the operator of our camera, right? So why events organizing and my work with events organizing? Because of my organization, I founded with Newground Events. Well, of course, that's our tagline. We don't just create an event, we create a phenomenon. Allow me to show to you some of the pictures of our events since before, so that you'll have, of course, the feel of it, of the many events we did. These are not all, but just a feel of the events we do. We do 100 plus events per year, in not only in Dumaguete, but also Negros or even national or in the region, all right? So these are some of the many events that we do, as big as 6,000 participants, as small as 10 people, all right? So this was pre-pandemic events since 2007, as big as Palarong Pambansa. Yes, that's where we also do in organizing. Yeah, even to Mindanao, we tried pageants, summits, concerts, camps, runs, contests, competitions, awards, and so on and so forth. But here's some of the feel of the virtual events that we do also. And common to what the events we're doing in the virtual is not the plain speaker type, then participant setup. What we do in the virtual environment na events, there is always engagement. Like this one, a lot of engagement was done to this one, even Project Ticam. What we did in Project Ticam, we invited families to join us. There is a facilitator in charge nila. There are breakout rooms in Zoom, and they will play sa ilang balay, and there will be a facilitator to handle them even in the processing. Okay? This one is another event that we did with consultation type of youths together with a live one. Meaning, last year we did a live setup with 100 people. At the same time, there was a component where there was also engagement in the online. Okay, we did even an anniversary special for our organization online. So meaning it was not like the typical again speaker type, and there were really a lot of games, engaging games, and even of course talent performances of different genre in our anniversary program. And of course, the latest one was the youth consultation that we did. For some of you who watched it, I'm sure you've noticed that it was not the speaker type again and the participant type only. There were Leia Sikat was the one who handled the moderation, and there were really engaging exchange of ideas kay consultation value. So we really did the consultation part. All right, and this is our upcoming event where we will be doing an awards for the entire Negros Oriental for the first time online. So maybe next month and this year, our team is preparing for that one. Okay, let's proceed to the proper lecture for our events organizing. So feel free to do your notes through your online or even scribble some in your notebooks. Okay. So what is an event? We've always heard events, but we've never realized what is the difference between an event, an activity, a program, right? So the common words that we can use for events is really large scale. It can never be called an event if it's not large scale, all right? And will require amounts of much planning and money. I've given as an example ni Ma'am Kalibo and Ma'am Dinoy kanina that if it is an event, it will really require planning. We did one event in 2011 for 9 months, but the event is only 1 day. As in literally 9 months planning, but the event is only 1 day. The budget we need to raise was 1.5 million, and we did raise that. We did raise that. Okay, so those are the common terms that you need to consider if it's an event or it's just a plain simple activity. And of course, event should be an occasional one. That's why it's not daily. It can be monthly, of course. It can be weekly, but never daily. Muna, the opening message of Ma'am Pinoy kanina emphasized on the side that you as librarians have, of course, your technical activities as librarians, logging, serving our clients. However, there is one component that we need to also balance out where we need to plan our activities. We need to program our activities and our events. And this is where I'm coming in today, okay? Of course, these are samples of the activities or events we can do. Most of these are pre-pandemic, and most of these can be done online by just adding an E. So that's what we are doing now. Webinars, e-fundraisers, e-conferences. So we can really convert all of those. Kaya nga, I appreciated much what we did yesterday because if wala ang pandemic, we could have not appreciated it well because wala man yan speaker, hindi yan maganda, not that much engaging because he's not present here. But looking at the reactions of yesterday, pwede good ay. We saw value of what our speaker told us, even if he wasn't here, right? So we need to also value things, even if it is still a virtual setup, right? So what are the things to keep in mind again? It's always time consuming, meaning the equivalent amount of preparations to the equivalent duration of an event, or really siya balance. But that is why it's an event. It will never be balanced with the duration of how long you are doing an event, how long you will execute it, but the preparation will really be very long. So you have to do the preparations well, because if you do not do the preparations, dako kayo, or a very big component of that probably one-day event will be, of course, makuha ang iyang value. Okay? So probably if you need to prepare 1 week that you did it in 1 day, probably half day of that event will not be good in result, in value, because you did not prepare well. So you have to consider those. Okay? And it will be most likely of a period of months if it's a really big event. But mind you, the presentation I'm doing now is a full-blown event. I need to do this so that at least tanan ready na for all of you. Kamo na lang bahala, hindi pa niya applicable. Because I wanted to share it to you, to put you ready if we will be expanding, of course. Going to the transformation of the library, the expansion is inevitable. That's why we need to also upgrade our skills Now we are already 21st century librarians ready, and our personnel already ready for big events to handle. And we did one already in the recent history of being here together, katong atong embassy talks, so na, that was a very big event. So at least kaya na gid nato. Okay? And tell you it's really expensive. But later on in my talk, you will realize that no matter how expensive it is, if you will dedicate people and expertise for marketing, you can even reach millions of our sponsorship if you really do well in your marketing. And not necessarily it will only involve people, because it will also involve the concept. For making it saleable will make it also generate more funds. Kaya kung dili maayo ang concept title palandaan, how can you market it well? Diba? So, muna ako pasabot. Because our training in events organizing is zero budgeting. We will always think when we start na wala due budget at the beginning. We will, dili dyan mo asa na ana bitaw ni daan, no. When we start events organizing, you will always think that there is zero and you have to find all those that you need and the resources you need. And it will not necessarily be always money. Okay, I'll tell you about that later. Okay, let's get started then. So kani, mga reminders points before we go to step 1. I need not probably explain each item to you. You can pick out some of the items there, and we will of course look at that later on because it's incorporated in the 10 steps that we will be doing. All right? So we will look at that later on. Let's start with number 1. First, identify what type of event you would like to do. Okay? It becomes a different scenario now. It is in the virtual environment, of course, because by identifying what kind of event you would like to do, we'll have 2 points. Why? Because if you will say it's a seminar, what kind of seminar, what kind of virtual seminar you will be doing? When you say it's a conference, what kind of conference will you be delivering in the virtual environment? It becomes heavier for us because you need to consider 2 things already, right? Diba? How to put it in context na mas lisod para makita ang difference. If you'd like to do a run in the pre-pandemic, simple, it's a run. So mga tanan na lang gano'n, isang run, na. But now that there's a virtual environment, can you do a run in the virtual environment? Diba? So that becomes 2 points agad. So para mas masabdan ninyo nila step, you need to answer those things. Yes, it's a conference, but what kind of conference will it be in the virtual? Because our minds, our layman idea, not being events organizer, will think, it's a conference in Zoom, magtaratag speaker, easy na kayo na. When we have the speaker, humana. Wrong. There are still 9 items to consider. So never say that to yourselves. That's the easiest part, especially kung wala kayo training. But if you would like to really go dive to events organizing, you need to answer those 2 questions. More difficult to answer now because, of course, we are in a virtual environment. We cannot always say anymore na, naray speaker bitaw, manananatanan. No, you can never say that. You have to really use our brains and think of ideas to make it saleable to everyone. We will look at that one later on. Huh? Step 2 then. Determine, of course, very normal. Even in research, we do that. Even in our normal activities, we do that. But despite doing this in all aspects in our work, we still forget the objectives. It became a template already. It becomes a compliance. It becomes a compliance already. We need to send to submit a document. Magamat sa tag objectives. Wrong, very wrong. When you look at events organizing, when you look at research, when you look at activities, very important ang ato ang goals because it will really define, okay, of what you'd like to accomplish. Right? Okay? And of course, part of step 2 will be your target audience already. and what would be the emphasis. You'll have initial thoughts already of your target audience. Very initial, because later on, you will go down to that one more. You will sit down to the details of this one more later on. But please think of the emphasis already. Like for example, I'll give you an idea. When we decided for the consultation for the youth, for the very hot issue now, we need to decide if we will really dwell on asking others on the other camp or on what side. But those are considerations already you need to understand about the emphasis of the goals that you're doing. Okay? Because if you have 10 goals, you probably would not emphasize 10 of those also. You have to emphasize one. All right? So there will be specific goals, and there will be, of course, the enumerated goals that you'd like to connect with your very specific general goal or objective, right? Now, decide on the day and the time for the event. Okay? What makes it difficult if it is in events organizing? Because you need to look at now the time frame na daghan of audience in the virtual environment, right? I don't know if most of you know already. Can anyone, I forgot to tell you, Ma'am Rose, malamit ato natin mga freebies na maybe in our next activity we will be doing that. Anyone who could tell me what is the best day in Facebook to post? Best day, Ma'am.
Wednesday evening and Thursday.
Wow, best day, nana pa dyan sumpay ng evening. Yes, very correct. But the pinakataas is Thursday night. So if you want to post something about yourself, photos, you wait for Wednesday nights or the more on Thursday nights. Okay, mas dagang engagement, mas dagang comments, mas dagang likes. Okay, and that's another topic. We cannot dwell on that one. Lamig kita ko na nga topic, but sooner or later we can do that also. Okay. That's based on the study, not only for the Philippines, but for the whole world. Everywhere in the world, it's always the best time and night on Thursday night. Okay? And also Wednesday, second and Wednesday. Now, step four. We'll have to do this quickly because there are things that as we go higher, nahatay mga mas grabe na steps that we need to consider. Okay? Now, for step 4, you need to go back about the participants and target audience. Consider the venue and types of facilities. Determine the use of space. Okay? We'll go for the participants first. Who would fit, how many, and how to ensure that participation and attendance. When I do training for our events in our youth volunteers, many times na dyan ako. Okay na kuya, nanay participants. Nga naman nanay participants. Ningo na si Kapitan nga mga adto na sila. Pag abot na mo dito, usara kabok ni adto. So muna akong pasabot. When you are an events organizer, you have to be very blunt to your partners na forgive me nga makulit ako kay events organizer ko. Ting-ani gyud ang events organizer. If you have spoken to people working in ABS-CBN, every day makulit niya sila. If you are talking to people in that line of work, makulit dyan na sila about details, especially number 1 to this. Kasya ba sa venue? May lights na ba? Kasya ba sila? How many of them? How sure are we that they will buy the tickets? They will go for the freebie. O nga na, di ba? Free seminar, online, webinar. Kawawa naman, 5 ra ka po ka ng attend. Okay. Ningon naman nila ha? Teacher na they will be requiring their students. We don't do that. In events organizing, we'll also estimate. It's usually, if 100 committed, we will deduct 10% to that one. Or even as worse as 20% to ensure that we will really fill the house. Okay? So, these are questions, initial questions. Dagan pa kayo ni. But we will dwell on those initial questions na lang muna for what we are doing in the library. Okay? Who will fit? How many? and how to ensure participation and attendance. It also happened to us in one of our events in Bayawan. There was a part of the program where we wanted to explore a party atmosphere where music is there, but we will be flashing taglines or quotes where they can learn. Okay, the committee that I assigned to it forgot the aspect that most of the audience were grade 6 going down. So their defense to me when they presented the idea was, high energy man ang mga bata kuya. So manayaw rin na sila. But by playing pala music to kids where the music is for disco, they don't dance. They don't understand that life in teenagers yet. You get what my point is? Wala sila ngayon. So we improvised. We placed people in front of the stage and taught them how to dance. Bisag kung sa pakagrabe ang music and lights, it did not fit their age group. So yung anak yun, we need to analyze our audience if it will fit their age. Kung sa pakagrabe ang sometimes sex, even their education, and a lot of other considerations that we need to do. Will it fit our target audience? Okay? Dahil today, we changed from Canva to this one because, yeah, we learned Canva after the session, but how many will be doing Canva after this session? Di ba, dili po kayo tanan dyan. So at least, by this one, when we do the workshop later on, we will be engaging, all of us will really be planning. Okay, one personal unit man ta. Unlike kung Canva, pwede ikaw na mag-design na lang ato, Elmar. Si Elmar tanan. We'll be designing it. Okay? Now, let's go back to the venue and types of facilities. Okay? By the way, I'll go back to this item muna sa venue aside. This one. Determine the use of space. This was pre-pandemic. Very important. What do I mean by this one? Few of the events organizers that I've known in Dumaguete or Negros Oriental mention this aspect. Although they're doing it, but they cannot articulate it. If you've noticed na po tayo may anak na mga teachers, right? Not only Silliman, it's universal. Very intellectual, but could not put it into words, right? When they would like to teach it. Also in events organizing, most of the people understand this line if you're an events organizer. But when you're teaching it to people who wants to learn events organizing, they cannot articulate it. So allow me then to try to articulate what I mean. For example, Freedom Park. How come not a single event there survives no matter how big it is? Except Buglasan. That's an exemption. If naay rally dira or naay kuan, bisag unsa kasadya mingaw gyud siya. Because you haven't considered unsa kadako. Una, kani, be set up now, if ako'y nag-organize ani, the sitting and the venue fails. You know why? In pictures and in videos, this will look like not well attended. Okay? Because let's forget muna of the pandemic now. If this was not pandemic times, I'd rather place all of you in the KDC because it will look jam-packed. It will look, the energy will be very good. Okay, grabe ang energy of being very close. Now, it's pandemic times. Even in pandemic times, wrong ragaponing. You know why? There are so many vacancies nga bisag na anay mga gaps. Try to take a picture of this one and show it to a photographer. They will really see, ay, wala may lang yung event, baling bubuta, hanggang kay vacant chairs. So what we do in events organizing, kung gamay ra ang mga 10, we fill in June the first few rows. Wala dyan maskip. We remove vacant seats also. Or uniform gyud ang mga vacants. Para paglantaw sa picture, it's really good. Not only in pictures, it affects our audience also. They will have the chance to to have no energy. Or they will have also the chance to escape because boring man dyan kayo, kay matakdan man sila sa kamingaw sa panahon. Okay? When I teach this to our young volunteers, at initially they don't understand the idea that we go, change venue. I don't like the venue for us here. We need to consider venue always. Yeah, venue always. Okay? That's pre-pandemic and that can still be applied with us now. Now let's go forward to pandemic times. Of course, these have a lot of considerations also. In Zoom, we can do easily the green screen that I'm usually doing. Diba? In Google Meet, it's free, unlimited time. That's what I know for now. No? I compared, of course, to Zoom Premium, non-premium, where it's only 45 minutes, right? But very difficult to handle aspects like relating to, for example, groupings, where Zoom is easier, where there are breakout rooms. And of course, seldom do we use Teams. But there are a lot of other things that we can put together to make this work. Okay? We can always take advantage of what Zoom has and what Google Meet has. Probably it's called Google Meet because it's usually appropriate for meetings only. But when we go for seminars, webinars, conferences, I seldom see Google Meet being used, right? It's always Zoom. Now, we need to also consider Facebook Live or YouTube Live. Like for example, kahapon, we never forget as a host, meaning not Charmaine, but host, meaning kita, as the sponsor of the event, to look at what choices of words we are projecting to social media because we are going to social media. Okay? So we need to be careful because there are things that we can be talking about here now that needs not to go out. Okay, so those are things to consider about venue and facilities because these are already venues and facilities also, right? And not to mention the bandwidth that we have. I even asked Miko, Mick, uninterrupted na di ato ang live gahapon sa YouTube and sa Facebook. Sir, because we're using already a higher specs PC and of course the internet was stable. Unlike the ones we do sa una diri sa KDC Raylin, right? Medyo unstable ang computer, dili ka daog dunganon ang YouTube and Facebook. It's really heavy to put together two live setups. Now, kaya because of the specs. Sometimes we blame it always to PC alone. We also sometimes blame it to internet alone. And actually, both will do a contribution to what we are having as a challenge. Okay? Now, very quickly, let me tell you about details of the online environment. The shortening of the span of our attention. Okay? In 2000, 12 seconds. In 2013, 8 seconds. Be reminded of the goldfish. You know this already. I'm reminding you. 9 seconds only. How much more? It's 2020, guys. If kaya yun, we need to do videos kumaba ramas maya. Okay? Content now is not important in the sense that versus duration. Okay? You put together content that can be accepted for those interested. After that, kana inyo ang i-catch. Because by not catching them at the first instance, goodbye na sila sa second. What do I mean by that? Ibutang na to ang tanang content. Okay, what if dili na sila mabalik? Samot na din na dili mo lang daw. Because you're putting it all together there. And it happens also pre-pandemic in our events. Here comes one of our creative development team. She's now working in Australia, graduate of Silliman also. Paglantaw na mo siyang presentation, kaya naman yung team na mo gama na o PowerPoint, may team mo gamaging ani. We do those tasking very detailed na we need to focus people on those kinds of work para more ginay na natawon. The team was working on the PowerPoint for a youth summit with 3,000 people. Pag-present niya, niabot og 200 slides. Why? Siya, kuya, okay lang ito 200 slides because anyway, one idea naman per slide. That's correct. Wow, very good. Pero baling dagan ng quotes. Tanan na ng quotes, ibutang kay para makatch jud ko no, ang tanang ideas putting into people. No, you don't do that. You don't do that, yun. You don't do that. You cut those ideas because people will come back and ask for more if they're really interested beyond those. Diba? Remember marketing levels? Diba? I need not to discuss to you. Now, when you catch on the first instance, there will be 7 other layers. Until maabot sa point, it's sold. Advertising works that way. Now, you don't sell on the first. You will be selling on the 7th level. So when people are not interested in the library, then imo na imubay tanan about policies, about everything. How can they be interested then? If mga ang ginumerate nato na agad in the first pala na video is no eating, no surfing, wala na, gibara na nato tanan. So we need to decide on the content because this is advertising level here, awareness level. Okay, awareness level. And this is our general rule in Gabahan Youth League. Experience is still the best teacher. Proud to say, I haven't told you this because we have a lot of friends that are influencers also in the Department of Education, national level. Joe was one of those who influenced them to really go for K-12 in the what year galito. Because we were really espousing about experience. That's why K-12 is more an experiential learning, right? Okay. Now, how? The how is, of course, the things that we miss about pre-pandemic. Sige nga, ang sa may mga pinaka-na-miss ninyo dito in this slide. Ha?
Dining out, diner.
Dining out. Your old routine, you know, I miss going to Cebu, going to Bacolod. We take for granted sa Unara. Now, it really values a lot, right? How about in this slide? What did you miss? What do you miss the most?
Party.
Party! OMG. Oh my God, traveling, beaches, hiking. Sige nga, sino sa inyo wala na nakabuhat ani Jud like once for the 2 years that we are nakabuhat pa ba even wala na gyud. Wala na gyud. Concerts. Very sad. The biggest question is what's the difference of value of the concert where you are there when you're doing the concert just watching it live, no? Not the difference, Okay? This is pre-pandemic, one of our events. National event that we did, nakakamiss dyan ang mga nga pictures. We cannot do that even now. It's replaced by masks. There's a saying now, there's a word now created, I don't know if you know this, smiles. Smile with your eyes. Smiles. Smile with your eyes. Okay, well, covered man atong mouth. So we need to improve our smiling through eyes na again. Okay? So these are the different online trainings and platforms we can use. I need not to dwell on those ones. I'll just remind you. Web-based learning, webinars and virtual classrooms, of course, the synchronous and asynchronous, and video-based learning. And I'm proud that we have exposures to this one before pandemic because of ASRC, KDC, dugay na kayong ginagamit ng mga technologies. Okay, of course, collaborative learning. Collaborative learning, of course, can be through most likely Google tools. Maraming mga tools sa Google using that one. Custom learning, which is the ones na fave dyan sa atong Generation Z, na they transfer from one to another. And seamless. Like you study in a PC, boring naman, I'll grab your cell phone and you open it, the same round feeling, sit down and read, bored na po, bali na po sa TV, and read it there, pwede good. And do that at home also. If boring kayo, sige lang, the same thing. Okay, or use the iPad na po. Okay, mobile learning. Let's proceed to number 5. the collaboration part. The collaboration part is very much important. It's always a theory, sometimes not executed, not because we're afraid or ashamed, but because we think kakayanin na lang to. Okay? But events organizing works and dwells on this one. Because remember the zero budgeting, okay? Doesn't mean it will always be money, it can also be services. Kami, in our events, in Jewel and NGE, we don't have budget, like grants, always. So what we do, kailangan po namin ng sasakyan. Think na ng agency, sira matang pangayo sa kuan, ari na punta mangayo tabang ni kuan. Anana, we'll ask the Philippine Army na po, and I've been asking them for this one. We need a venue. Magic din na, dahil kayo mapilian. Because you have partners already. These are networks very much established and kanang ni gamot na good, well-rooted. And the relationship has been very good for so many years. So if you have established that network, and as an events organizer, it will grow. It's like just like your portfolio. It's somewhat like that. Na, kuya, wala na dyan may makitang ingani. Maybe you have your connections. Ano tayo mauna na handa yan. But even as a name in itself, if Silliman Library has established that network well, bisan pag walay budget, we can get it from our partners. Yeah. Okay, hindi pala pwede ngayon kay ngani-ngana. Dalang considerations. We'll try ko no to ask our partners kasi makahatag sila natin sa kinan. Eh, na good. Because most likely, they will return the favor not because may utang na loob, but because they've worked well with you. They've really worked well with you. Okay? So we need to start considering growing our portfolio because Silliman never established it for so many decades. Now we need to grow our portfolio on the side of events also to really be partners with them. Para po hindi ma-burn out atong resources as a university and as a library, right? And it will be healthier because there will be people more connected to us. Okay? And identify the role when determining key decisions. Now, what are some of the key decisions that we will be doing? That's moving forward. Now, this one, medyo chicken na. And ang event program budget, okay, we only talk of 3,000, 5,000, burger ba papakain, or just bread, or what kind of juice. But please expand our concept of events so that we'll be trained to make it a full-blown one, okay? And identify sources and amount of potential revenue. Even if it's not income generating, we'll call it revenue so that mapugos ta as a events organizer to look at it in a liquid, that it's liquid and we can be, of course, be presented later on as mayo ang atong dalagan sa entire event. Okay? Remember what I've told you about the use of budget? It will not be a good reflection of an entity, no matter government or non-government, if we did not use the entire budget. Okay? So much more if we did not generate it. So by generating it, one reason I want to let you learn about zero budgeting, because when you meron kang part sa pag-generate it, most likely you will use it well. And the point of using it well is to consider pila yung savings and to consider put dun above the savings. Diba? Dili waldas. Pero kay kaning nagdawat rata o request, then approve or disapprove, most likely nga rata na, sige na lang. Next time na lang ito gamitan. Or sige, kay gamitan mo na. Bisa kung saan na ito palitan nga food. No, we need to look at it in a different way now. I'll show you an example later on, ma-amaze mo, of how we do budgeting. And revise, and revise, and revise. Kalaban, sa isang ka, people like us in an office work, ang usog-usog sa, pero tell you in events, importante na siya. Bisan pa of you did the 9 months of planning. On the day of the event, the head organizer tells you to change venue. most likely there's a reason for it and it's well grounded. And I thought locally, because when we started in events organizing, we thought, kimira na wikling ngani, may sige puso naman di also nganay. But when we expanded our network to people like ABS-CBN, GMA, and even in national na mga agencies, they also do that. Kami na po yung ma-stress because they want it changed on the day of itself, in the day of the event. So it's inevitable in events, changes will always be there. So mana sila. So you meet Sir Dennis, di na lang mag-plan. Kaya mauso naman din yapon. I heard that people talking about that even in our circles here. No. We need to plan because if something happens on the day of the event, it will be changed. It will be easier. Because if we haven't planned it, most likely, if it will happen, it will be more disastrous. Because you will not project that the equation of what if this will happen. Okay? It will be more fearful. Kung something will change, na wala na sa inyong drawing board. That's why, because it's inevitable, you need to plan by detail more so that there will be a little left na room na lang ang wala na to na project. Diba? Because if you only projected 50%, there is a bigger gray area. You cannot foretell. You cannot predict. But if you have prepared well, 95%, 5% na lang ang natitiran, baka mangyari ito. Diba? So I'm actually telling you things now to condition your mind, and these are things happening in events. It will be a mortal sin in office work if maraming changes na not relating to events. Because these are services regular. But it will be very normal in events if there are changes. So I'd like to tell you and promote to you that if there are changes for events here in our library, yes, of course, we need to look at planning, but most likely it's always normal that there will really be changes. But if there are many changes in services, in a day's basis or in a week's basis, probably it's a new service, so there are changes, or there's really something wrong with the service, dugay na kayo. Kaya nga na pa magkitang sigaw sa uso. Diba? So, muna yung difference in events versus the regular work that we do. Okay? Now, here's a sample budget projected. This is not the actual, projected months ago before the event. Okay? Kung malayo din na, I'll just mention some items. Of course, there will be inflows and there will be outflows. Okay? Inflows will be sources of the event. Not necessarily always money. So for example, we need food. How many people are we talking about? We have 100 organizers. We'll try ask money in marketing. But if you don't have money, we'll ask for exchange deals. So what we do, if I remember this event, we will try ask pizza. Itagaan ni 100 boxes. So, di pa na sila. They thought they are not naman. No. You need to allocate it per slice. So, na-shock sila sa among Excel. I don't know if it's here. If it can be seen. Na even in our projected budget, we allocated the slices for everyone. Because these are resources that needs to be really be measured. Di man pwede, na-pizza tagan dito na kayo. No, you don't do that. So what I'm telling you now is in events, detailed jud. Okay, you don't have the entire luxury of time and money because gigan man ng zero. So when we look at things here also, if kaya, ang inaon nato, of course, the humanitarian, the fellowship side, pagkita na. Pero kung naabay mga people outside nga gina-consider nga to, kinalan dyan na to na i-allocate. Expert mo tao-taan na, expert kayo kayo mag-sharing sa ato mga resources dire. Pero kanabang you make it formal ba? What if ingani? What if ingana? So it's only one part of it. Food na to, pero there are a lot of other things. We even projected the registration. Pinaka-slim, dagang mga kailangan i-consider nga, sure good data, 1,000 mo registered. Because that's a source in itself. What if matumba ta in the registration? How much is needed to recover the expenses? So ako na project. And I mean, that is why we need probably 200,000 if dili nato makaya ang registration. We need to source it from a sponsor. So we went to, for example, this entity. Yatag man sila og 50,000. Then good, 150 na nato pangitaon. So inga na ito paglantaw kay ang mga kanang first timer na mga organizer, dito registration, sure lagi na mahalin. Sure na. What if dili? Di na naman na yun ang event? Hindi pwede. Hindi pwede yun. You will always think that there will be 0 tickets or registration to an event, to a seminar, to a conference, so that you source it out from another source. Diba? Okay? Okay. Guys, when you do events organizing, kung dili ka kwartahan, ayaw na lang pag-events organizing, if you dili ka ganang detalye, kaya magsigig ko tapal. Okay? Nangyayari na dire, kung na palit sa food, kaya kayo, ato ang budget pa ni Apod. Wala pa man po budget pa because it's the closing of the books. So kung na lang palit. Kung mayo kang events organizer, budget comes out because of probably marketing or probably donations, and extra na lang natin mga ganahan dyan ihatag. Never think it will be always you covering for those expenses. That's a very wrong mentality in events organizing. Because what if it will be talking about millions or more than 1,000? Are you willing to cover it if madisgrasya na? No. Dili pwede. It will always be about projecting the budget and of course finding sources for the budget. Okay? Now let's proceed to step 7. We're almost done with this one. Create an event timeline. Ay sa sir, di ba nag-create naman tag program initially? Wrong. Timeline is different from the program. Why? Because initial decisions will be part of it and you need to communicate. Kung sa'yo pasabot. Even, sample lang hindi man makita ko ni ang asahol, daghan pa kining columns. When we do an event for 1 day, ang pages na mo sa among timeline, mabot ng 10 pages. Like, kinsay mo aswat ani. Kinsay mo dala ani papunta dito nga side. Who will be in charge of this one? Very detailed dyan. The details even before the pambansang awit or the invocation. Nasanay man atong mindset nga, ang atong preparahon, ang program from invocation to the closing remarks. You forgot there are preparations before the program starts. That's why timeline is needed. Because the normal setting for first-timer na mga organizers, guys, na program, alin mo diri 1 hour before. Tapos dito, lagi sa ganda, hindi na din. Wala na. Especially budget, nalimtan ang SARS. Nalimtan ang trophy, asa na nabutang. Nalimtan ang mga certificates. Because there was no timeline in the first place. Because program ang nila ito, ang invocation, si Kuani, si Kuani. How about the preparations of executing the entire event? You need a timeline. And you need a storycon. Do you know what's a storycon? A story conference. Now guys, before the event, lahat po ng rehearsal. Storycon comes before the rehearsals. Now guys, muna yung mangyayari mo. Labang ka ani din dili ka mag-istingkod, tubangan na, dili ka mag-agi. Kaya kung wala na yung mag-communicate, kung magkaraton na, ang pagdalaga na tubangan dyan. Nagduba na. So, kaya na yung dalagas tubangan. Di naman kaya mo atos backstage. Imbis mo agi patag backstage, wala may storycon, wala may timeline. So, anak kabalo. I tell you another story kaning kaya bang baguhan papunta. I was once the assistant event director of a concert. Then the director was from ABS-CBN. So ayan, kanang overhead. Yan ang director. Hayes. Saan kami na si Hayes? Nabala ka, hindi kita ko si Hayes. Naglinya na yung mga events organizer o band na magwan po, talaga man. Pero dili na ako kauban sa akong team. I was the one only pirated to do the concert. So, I said, kinsa na si Hayes, sir? Nariting ko bang Hayes? Ang good, kinsa na ba yung Hayes? Siya si, higher Hayes, lower Hayes. Mahala ka po, kinsa na ba yung higher Hayes, lower Hayes. The next thing ninyo, haze was because is also another term for smoke machine. So more haze, higher haze, smoke machine di yung masabot. Kani mo, takabalo, ano may nga ng terms, wala historicon, kay ka ng diretsuan ay tanan, o di ko, takabalo, wata na oriyan kung saan nangyayari. Nga ba? So those are things we need to consider daan when the event comes, at least, wala ng tanan. Kung kaniya may tabo, ikaw man ang proximity drive, ikaw may stage manager, ikaw gimusuba ng part. Especially ng mga next performer. Wala pa din na ready sa kilid ang guitar and the connector. Kay wow, kalamis event. When you're carried out with an event, malimot ka, kay next organizer ka. It happened to us in Parokya ni Edgar, 2004, the night before my graduation. Becoming organizer. Proud to say, I was the first person to bring Parokya ni Edgar into Dumaguete. Di ba sa ballfield, sa Silliman ballfield, their anong tawag doon? TF that time was 500,000, 1 million ang entire show. Okay, so na-carried away pag first drum sa guitar, drizzle pagod gamay ang bulan, so hindi ka feeling. Nalimot na mitan ng organizer. Nagbuwan na day ang audience sa kasadya. So nalimot din, hapit ko na tumba ang barricade because we forgot that we were the events organizer. Kaya pali mo siya sa show. Do not forget that one. You'll really be carried out. Especially kung imong katrabaho artista na, good luck. Later on sa workshop na ako ito doon ninyo, saan pa picture artista without looking stupid. Okay? I'll tell you that one later on sa workshop. By the way, mga technical script. That's part of the timeline. Technical script. The audio component. The video component and everything else, balik ko ng dagang column. We do that especially if the event so big, kailangan dyan natin nalagyan. At what time? Who will execute it? What PC? Connectors. Ilagay nyo nagtanan. Okay? Now, I was talking about key decisions. These are some of the key decisions you need to consider. Program, order of course, check. So muna reminder mo ang time na really check it na good. Okay? Who will perform and everything else relating to that one? Now, with program, these are the challenges in the online world. Boring, technical difficulties. Not many know the program or the project exists. Diba? It becomes a failure. Sayang kaya. If wala ka palo. Do not have time for online training. And of course, the lack of actual human touch. No? Other things, lack of practice. Mediocre is mediocre. Wala ginailaing word. Dili kita pwede nga na if we are an event organizer. No impact at all. Computer illiteracy and no gadget and stable connectivity. So dagan kita i-consider, no? Hindi mo na siya i-checklist. Applicable ba nila? So it becomes a problem for us community workers. How can we do things of outreach kung bukin na mo ang mga beneficiaries? Diba? Medyo lisod. When we're exploring a lot of things po, medyo mahirap yun sa community work po na. Okay? And of course, the biggest challenge will be the community setting. Okay? A lot of things. This is another topic in events organizing na dili na to kaya ron. So we will leave that one as a phrase to consider many things if it's about community. Okay? Sensitivity. Diba? When we went to Mindanao, grabe yun ang sensitivity you need to consider. Okay? And participants will always escape in oblivion. Be it pandemic or pre-pandemic. Dili ko mutuan na mas grabe maka-escape to oblivion ang karon nga online, mas daga mag-escape gyapon bisa katong normal na ay naglingkod and ay ka-speak. Pareho na. Nang-iskapo rin gyapon. Okay? So, kani good guys. Kung buluyagon kang participant and you will become a good events organizer, it will be better. You know why? Madakpan nimo ang mga iskapo. Mapangitaan nimo solusyon. Now, looking back, ano ko na events organizer? Buluyagon kay ko nga participant. When I started in my first seminar sa barangay namo sa unang panahon when I was 4th year high school, saka boring po sa among topic, among speaker pag yun, di na ako ma-mention, basta akong gibuhat, boardman ko, naglista ko pinakalalong na Bisaya. Nakalista tawag ko 50 ka words. Lingaw na kaya ko mga kauban, akong matapat. Kasi nga po siya topic without looking at us na wala minamina. Guys, nakuha pa kong word na lista. Now, when I became an events organizer, it became my rule that it should always be fun and there should always be learning. Dili gid pwede ang learning na every engagement, every event, pangitan yun nag-way, it becomes fun. Dili mo pwede fun na tanan. How can we learn? Di ba? So I am also telling you now, please, when you create events, dili pwede learning or good. How can they accept the learning and retain it if they haven't even connected to it emotionally? Emotions will always be part of an event. Di gyud pwede. Di gyud pwede, wow, grabe sa speaker, iyang credentials, grabe kayo. Nakagayaw yung monotonous. Saan man na? Di gyud pwede na. Di gyud pwede. Attention will always be important. Fun and learning. So kani, if nagin mo time to consider, very important ni karon sa pandemic times. The desirability, these are the question for disability, usability, and it becomes comfortability, adaptability becomes a value. These are the 5 elements of learner experience in educational technology. Kung nagin mo tayo ma-consider, is it desirable? Will it be usable? Will it be comfortable for our participants and even us hosting it? Will it be adaptable? Okay, usik ang all effort, it becomes so uncomfortable for us, di man naman di ka po ang attend. What's the use of that? So muna mayon kung hindi kabante mo, sige kung gingon ninyo na, ano sa may purpose ka tsada sa ka-event, kung di mo potential of value to the people outside. Wala taga-create ng event for historical purposes, nga naka-create kami ana. Proud to say kami may first ana. Yeah, pila din ni attend. Makaluwi atong effort. Diba? So muna kong pasabot, there should be a balance of the value on both sides. Our end users and us hosting it. Okay? So I'll skip this one. These are some of the suggested things you can do, like theme days for Zoom, na mag-ilis-ilis o t-shirt, ilis-ilis ba? Pero lang ko kayo ni Kono na, kay this will come out if part of your planning a creative part. Okay? That's why we are proud in GYL and NGE because we don't settle for a mere seminar. We don't settle for a mere webinar. We find ways to explore other things that we can do. And we know our audience, especially the Generation Z, will say goodbye to you. You say goodbye to you agad. Okay? Now, Zoom breakouts, if you haven't heard of it, I'll need not to teach you this one but it's there. Ano bang mag-groupings na? Small groups. Okay? The green screen idea, proud to say, you're one of the first in Silliman using it. Yun. I mean, like full concept of the green screen. I'm so proud of that we're using it. They thought it's so expensive. It's not. Hindi naman ang panaptun. Di ba? And by the way, you know why it's green? Nanong dili ba colors? Because our body has lesser green color. Parang dili pwede naman blue. But green will always be the best because our body walay green. Atong bisag sugaan ba? Okay? Look at that as an example. This was the day, do you remember? That's my paeste. Do you remember the day when we discovered this one? That's my paeste. And from then on, we've been using that for Zoom already. You know why it's not boring? There's an engagement. Make i-on ko na kung kapanin sa taas, make to emphasize what I mean. Okay? Look at that one. Compared to this one, what will be more engaging kung nakakaroon sa Zoom? This one will be more engaging because I'm a small box outside the entire presentation. I'm not part of it. That's why I am always espousing to use this setup with our speakers and our e-talks. Okay, if this is the case, there are studies to that. I've been reading studies to that. It's part of the mass-comm theory. You know why? Kabantay mo ng mga newscast, TV Patrol, 24 oras. Nanong man yun, na ang tao makita man, nandiri ang gamay ang ilang what is it about. Because it will create an engagement na kakuyog lang mo duha. Diba? Unlike this one, I'm boxed. Then, kada ko anang entire screen, ana ko kagamay na skilled. Diba? That's why I need to be part of the presentation. So muna reason, if you will be a speaker to an event, ingnan yun dahil ko nga, Sir Dennis, pwede mag-green screen ta. I have an engagement outside. I will be gladly helping you to do this one. Because it will simulate before pandemic. Nagatubangay rata. Diba? This one is really pandemic times. It will remind you of the pain of the pandemic na dili gyud takuyog. No? Unlike here, ma-feel pa nimo a little semblance that we are together. So now we're responding that it's based on theory. Human nature, sociology, po na. We wanted the idea of being together here, the touch feeling. Of course, how to do that, I'll teach you soon. Some of you, I've told you how to do that already. Actually, it's a beta version. So meaning that's why we're one of the firsts. You know why? Because in Zoom, it's still a beta version. What do I mean by that? When you say it's beta version, it's testing trial stage pa sa Zoom. And gladly, with a beta version, we have discovered that in Zoom. We're one of the first who's using that in Zoom. I haven't seen any class with a teacher using this feature in Zoom. Wala yan. No one. Ilang mong gigamit katurang box. Pero the normal one na share screen. Share screen. Okay? The good thing about that one is the idea na appeal ka. So muna, birahunan mo to be part of it. Okay? Now, our brand, boring is a mortal sin. Mura na nag-English teacher ka and you're committing syntax errors, semantic errors, grammar errors. It's a mortal sin for English teachers to, of course, get wrong with what they're doing because they are English teachers. I am an events organizer, so para na ako, mortal sin dyan ako ng boring. Imagine na ka-create kag-concert ng baling boring na. Diba? So pareho na po na nato. When what we are doing is before the library, please look at, make ensure it pang library level. Okay? Second, creativity is our trademark. We survive without budget because our currency is creativity. Imagine that. Why can we handle events as big as 6,000 and as agencies for the national? Because we can deliver that one. Mura pag ningon sila nga, we are creative man, but wala nang may time para na. So we will get you because we know that you're creative. So that's why it worked. And proud to say, promotional palandaan, we have that brand. Why do we know that? Sa akong pagkawala anay, anong na may mapa-autograph na ako kung want to make events? Because we can package people. Yan na pagay nang ulit, dili ulit ang kinanglan mo artista sa kayo mga members next, dumugon man for autograph. It's how you package people. And we've done it in another way po. Nagsulay ko nung may all road tour. feeling artista, the road tour, tinawag may advocacy. Imagine, we started at 5 a.m. Ang mga tao dito sa at the other end, at masay pa kami. At the end of Kanlaon, dugulat na buntag pa, nangabot mi dito, alas 9 gabi na. Uban, town per town, nga naman ang road tour. And bringing banners and bringing food for us. Not only 2 people, in Ayungon, we met 100 people at 3 p.m., but our schedule was supposedly 11 a.m. Diba? It becomes marketable if you package it well. So it's more on the packaging. Ano mga angayan dyan ng artista? Manara may dagan na rin. It's how they package people. Ano man dyan lami ng advertisement na kung tinuwi pareho na nagtilaw sa upang food dire. It's the packaging. It's the promotion and the marketing. So importante yun na. And being a library, if we will project to be the best in the region, we can package it. Because we have many of it already with us, probably not yet promoted into the maximum. Okay, promotions will be important. Okay, now let's go to step number 8, performers, speakers. Thematic choice, identify potential speakers appropriate for the activity. Malingaw, Chukani. I'm inviting you sa speaker, dara ang topic. Then kung mangutana ang speaker, og detalye mo rin magkapakapaka kay wadi ka kabalo. Yun sa iyang pangutana. Yan ang wayo kakabalo. Kay wala dyan yung fully conceptualize ang entire event. Imo to ba, ikaw rin bahala. Diba? Ingot sa. No, because if you have a concept, you can answer the speaker. Please dwell on this part. Ayun, nakabot dire. Kinailain speaker. Kung kayo orphans organize, malay kabalo, muta na. Kung sa gali is talk so for speaker, kung sa gali ito, mayawan po ka. Tingnan niya yung title. Title rin mo mahatag. Wala niyo mo scope and limitation. Yung na, mag-overlap ang mga topics. Diba? No. Pareho para sa performers. Hindi pwede mag-overlap ang mga songs, diba? Or ang theme. So kami kung mag-decide kung sa iyang kantahon, there is a connection to that into the entire program here. Okay? And of course, the equipment. A very well-planned event will break down because of an equipment. You know that. You've always been to that one. And kami in pre-pandemic, it always happens. Di ka na naging magdalino, no? Iwanay kaigong budget. So, museto na lamang 10,000 worth of sounds and lights, but the event should have been worth 100,000 sounds and lights. So, wala na. Sige kakasamaan ang sounds and lights. Actually, the person to be blamed is the equipment committee. Kay ngano mangyong kanay gipili na well-planned naman unta kayo ang atuang event. Kay para na dyan makasalbar o kwarta. No, you have to dedicate, if not spend much on the equipment, okay, it will be the breaking point if you do not do well on that one. But the decisions for this one, the cost, okay? Materials, awards, public relations, internal communications, most often forgotten and oblivion. Kung nalang balag na mag-poster, nalimot na ta sa title, consider kay basta kay mo kaigos poster. Awards, sige na lang, nalimtan na nag-sayop dito, kulang di ang i-awardan. Adawa tara ni mawalay signature, award na pasign na pa, ha? Iulit na na mo. Diba? Always dyan na, bisan before pandemic. Always dyan, ha? Okay? And of course, step 9, these items, dili ni siya pwede forgo, pero very important yapon, music, decorations, flowers, photography, cleanup. Ako, being very long in events organizing, I pay for DJs. Yung ano, if you will leave it to the sounds, mo operate sa music, matukarang ka o budots. It will be. Because karon nung if this was really, kanabang ato gining hardcore event, kaning this afternoon, kanina pag Lako pa lamang Charlene to start diri the music na ta. Ano rin, ladies and gentlemen, parang energy, di ba? Oh, the claps. And when you are in a studio in ABS-CBN, you will understand why they're doing that. Katong dito I was with Attorney Ablo, sa una si Joshua classmate namo. Nangato mi ABS-CBN, ikasaban mi sa president of the Silliman, kay ali na mo lingawan dito sa studio. Pero we cannot be blamed. Kay kami ditong galingkod, mga intellectuals as we are kuno, kay fourth year college na, kakorni po na ni mag-practice tagla. Ano kung mag-practice naman mumutudlo ninyo? O pag ano pa dyan magtinto, ana. Ano maningani, ana. Sus, pagsugod na, mura man dyan kang saniban. Tinuod man dyan di ay. Bisan wala na effort, may nung tinto, manindog, magsayaw-sayaw, mag-clap. Grabe dyan. Mura dyan kang isaniban. Because of the event. That's why our mindset in events organizing will be, even the music will play its part in the learning. Okay? Among, if you've attended one of our best events na entitled Tikam, masyakaway. 5 minutes, katawa, ambak-ambak, grabe yun. The next, pagka 6th minute, manghilak na sila. Muna ko sila baliw. Kaya gumaten na mo ng mga partner agencies, sir, kung saan ninyo? Ganyan ang mga tao, naghilak na po ron. Change of music, and play with the question and the PowerPoint. Diretso dyan na, shift agad. Dili kay corny mo lang, ngayon corny, kay makailang din sila. Then mo katawa na po na gusto. Magligid-ligid na po. Because it helps the entire experience. Remember what I told you kanina? Learning, experiential learning. If you don't experience it emotionally, kulang ang learning. Kulang yun. Kulang yun ang learning. Okay? By the way, always niyo malimtan, kanipon, ang aftercare, kinsa na lang buutang na habilin, di na pwedeng events, dapat dyan na-assign, di pwede na, ang mga buutang na dyan na habilin plus points, guni sila, di na pwede. It will be room for kuanman, being unfair, di na pwede. And the committees, I need not to enumerate to you this one. Ato rin ang hinahinay kung sa mga components. Info and media, kabahin na siya, promotions. Okay? Mga PubMats and everything. So, relating to the pre-event. Okay, mga teasers, videos, posters, the new term is PubMats. Venue and logistics. Ang gidugang na ikuyog yun ang logistics sa venue. Okay? Safety and security. Lahi din na. Lahi. Di ba? Safety will be about, of course, ambulance, first aid, yung anang components. Security, PNP, Army, ano. Okay, so di na pwede one committee, pwede one committee pero 2 aspects. Di na pwede safety rin mo i-consider. We're considering the security. Okay, let's quickly jump to PubMats. Visually striking, minimal text, easily understood, enjoyable. Diba? Catchy headline. Makita po na ba tayo na ito ng killer headline and use of choice of words po na, no? Dapat. Sige, this is a different topic man. Ito rin yung paspasan, kaya dapat mo ba tayo itong topic yun doon? Okay, para at least naragyan mo idea. White space. Portal scene dyan siya, kung dili ka designer. I-clutter tanan kaya ang kuwan lagi, dapat tanang info. Guys, wala pa yung Zoom link, ibutang na ito poster. Wala pa yung venue, ibutang na ito poster. Kung sa mga rules and regulations sa pag-register, ibutang na ito poster. Paano nang nagana? Hindi pwede. White space. Kasi sa mga asa makamasganan ng lantaw? Left or right? Right, John. Kinala makapahuy atong mata. Diba? Okay, first impression, kami po as designers, what we do is, look at it very near and look at it far. Kung ako makita sa layo, mabasa pa ba na ako ang title? Hindi pwede nga, alawin kayo sa lantawan, no? Kaya pag ato ni mas layo, Wala, nakatch mo attention. Diba? Far and near ko na yung paglataw when you design something. Okay? The white space. Diba? Kaya kung ikaw, baguhan, mo dyan yung butangan ka rin. Time dyan ka mabutan dyan. Puno dyan. No? Like this one. Do you like that? Of course not. You like it. You don't like it at all. Very cluttered. Now, target audience na mo, you have to understand colors, may nga ng aspects, di ba? Remember that almost 50% of our brain is visual processing. 70% is sensory receptors na tanan sa eyes. Munang importante yun ang visual. Diba? And 1/10 na lang, understand the visual scene. It only takes 1/10 of a second to understand a visual scene. So you have to understand these three things, combine those factors to create a good format or even the event itself. Okay? Text to a minimum, tanawanin, and show things visually. Do you like that? Wala na. Nahubog na kadaan. Information overload. Heavy text. And stick to the single topic. Pwede apil na to ni. Wala na, di na masabtan. Okay, it usually happens, they are not mention an agency na, magkama o poster. Kinanglan, maapil ang nawong ni Kuan, ang iyang title, ang tanan-tanan, kay magluod na. Yeah, it's correct. But if you want to catch the attention of your audience, hindi yung butang the charness na agad dito tanan. Kaya para good, makatch ko nung ang attention, sa mo pili makatch. Hindi pwede. It's very cluttered. Flow like a good story. There is also a story to a PubMat. Okay? And use 2 fonts. Kaya design, bilagi ko no. Dugaan na itong font. Kaya para, mas lami. No, wrong. Tanawa na. As an example of more than 2 fonts being used. Wala kayo lami. Diba? And look at this example. By the way, you have to include the logo and website, of course. And don't use too many colors. Okay? Colorful man ko no. Sige, bagano na to colors. Diba? I saw a reaction kanina ningon nga. Katong ka Dr. Sitoy na video, nami kayang background kay makarelax. Walay dagang kasamok-samok sa likod. Kaya dapat ang focus na to ang speaker. Si Dr. Sitoy. Diba? Diba, di-relaxing ang white. And look at the color wheel. Mo ni siya rule. And dili man ta expert about color combination, Google can help. Wana ra ka, gold palette. Tug-anan kaniya, kung sa'yo mo bagay sa gold. Ana? Or, the color wheel will tell you. Like sa balay, usay mo, ano man si Janice Ben, sa kayo mo work sa purple. Okay. Ito sa natang color wheel, hindi ko memorize. What's opposite to purple and nearest to that, mura ginay, work. Dili pwede magkuyog si purple o si violet o sa panadira unless dili striking na, kay labag na sila. For example, red and purple, wala na, nalunod na ang tanan. Okay? So yung na rule. And the palette will tell you, nami kaysa, because it works together. So kung kita kayo, di man tayo expert, use the color wheel and the color palettes. Okay? So, pareho pa sa mga sanina, di ba? Sabi ko, halat, kaysa, nagbilang ikong color, akong color kong kuhaan, color ko sanina, anak-anak. Di ba? Dami kayo na, if you really know how to combine colors. And PubMat in Canva is an easy way. Thank ka na yung Canva. So, ano pa na lang, bayan sugat. Okay? And guys, on the left side and on the right side are examples of old fonts. If you use those old fonts, I tell you, if wala purpose ng old font, dili na siya work. Compare ano. You try looking at apps. Look at the fonts they're using. I know it's so relaxing because they studied it. Look at Netflix and the fonts they're using. Even Netflix alone, may muka sleeky good. Big yun ka na. Ayan. Kaysa maglusida ka, tapos kumali na ng mga karaan na 1998 pa na sa Microsoft Word. My God, unsa pa na mga karaan yung font, copper plate, unsa pa na pag-download, putang mo bagong fonts. Okay, valid yun ang mga karaan na mga unsa pa na mga karaan font, may
Times New Roman.
please.
Monotype.
Sakit kaya sa mata kung you'll use those fonts to design. Ayaw yun, please, Maloy. You download new fonts, na yung mga channel fonts. Problema sa di mo kabalo sa install. That's another story. Okay? And use, of course, simple mga structures. Okay? Look at that one. Dapat aligned. Okay? It helps ease the eyes. It helps ease the eyes yun. No? If you follow a pattern, you know why? We humans are very into patterns. Murag naanag yun sa itong system, we need patterns. That's why we created math. Because math is actually a pattern in itself. Wala mang yun na kung anong we just quantified ourselves. So because we like quantification, we also want patterns. Pareho ani. Nga naman yung ipadaplin ang picture, ang subject. Kaya kung yung patunga, it was studied, hindi siya tsada. That's what we call the rule of thirds. So kung mapapicture mo, yung patunga. Okay, dili naman ni 12 shots karon. Wala naman 12 shots. Hindi naman tayo mapadevelop. Padaplin mo. Okay? Patunga. No, wrong. Ang ano naman yung tsada na siya? Because the subject is here in the rule of thirds. Okay? Pareho na po na sa poster. Hindi kinanay patunga. Kung hindi kinabayan-balinan mo, it will balance out the layout. I've studied my previous work is also about layout sa journals before I became a copy editor. That's why I know also layouts. Na dili pwede i-balance, like ang picture diri tanan, wala, album na. Dapat kung na-picture diri na, diri sa picture. Okay? Kaya niyo, rule of thirds. You're using the rule of thirds. Okay, let's go proceed to marketing. Ito, madugo to, pero dili man ako ni-dwell. So sige, I'll just mention marketing. Laya promotions, laya marketing. Marketing is, of course, a source of funds. We're almost there. Okay, sakto sa time. Cover letter for marketing. Then, packages. And the packages will detail sa imo ihatag. So, pasabot. The cover letter will tell the company na it is a very good event that will advertise you and create business for you. Kay dili man ni siya solicitation. Like nang gonna the days for solicitation. People now wants to look at the value of what they are giving. What is it for them that they will be giving you a sponsorship or their contribution to the event? If they will not see that, they will most likely give you small or none at all. Diba? So you have to project why this is a nice event that they will be engaging in. Huh? The packages will tell you the equivalent. Sir, if you will give us an opportunity cost of 10,000, sir, we will advertise you in this one, in this one, in this one, this one. Yan ang full-blown packages. I tell you, expert ka na, SPSG. And how they learn that? Based on experience review. Muna kayo mo may ilang trabaho. Muna they can generate millions of funds in the student government because they are not given money by the administration. And it's a very good training actually. It's a very good training. Muna musalig jud ta ang administration, trust them well. Because they can deliver mag-give. So wala mo na sila like, guys, lingkod mo, pagsugod sa eskwelahan, ituluan mo na mag-marketing. No, well, it never happens. They learn it again. They learn it. Okay? So the packages will usually come in gold, silver, or sponsorship. Okay? Kani, this is another month of trade learning. Tira na ito ng pilon. Okay, malugo yun. When we did the 9 months of preparing for an event, 1 month dyan naman yung gitulo sa marketing team. Kaya lisod dyan siya. Kung man mo una you will get first the traditional media. You'll get a sponsored newspaper, sponsored television, local television, and sponsor radio. Because if musugot sila, mo ni imo ang i-attach to the company. When you go to, for example, Globe or Smart, you'll tell them, sir, if you will go with us, you'll be advertised in radio. We will give you a slot in TV, and you will be given a whole page in the newspaper of this company. Diba? So baylo-baylo no kwarta. Wala ka ni ato o radyo na, sir, mabayad ni ninyo, sir, kay amo ni gamit ang sponsorship. Asa mo sa kwarta, di ba? So, wala po sa zero budgeting. I-cycle ni mga idea, where do you come in without using money? So, meaning, you entice radio, TV, and newspaper telling them, you join us. We will give you the whole day na ipatukar inyong video dito, inyong logo, and everything else. Did you spend money? Wala. So, sugod sila. Katong ilang equivalent, mana sila. We'll give you one spot, 1 hour for this one. So, ano nyo mapalitan 1 hour? Ato ka sa kumpanya, sir, kung mo-sponsor ka na mo 50,000, we'll give you 1 hour. If you will sponsor only, for example, 20,000, sir, half hour ang mayhatag. Nga. So, may money? Wala. Diba? These are what we call exchange deals. No money involved, diba? So, I don't believe that an event will work because naari budget. Wrong. If you think that you're an event organizer, start with a zero budget and find that money if you like, or find that service for free or at least an exchange. Okay? I'll skip this one. Now, these are some terminologies para dili mo malos. Kinitabunan din ako sa una. The former OIP, nanawag, Dennis, estudyante pa ko, ano mang gibutangan ni mo balilitas o banner ng entire section sa quadrangle dira sa dalan na mo tabon man sa Silliman Church. Kuyawan na kay ko. Nanawag ko sa Miguel Corporation. Sir, siya. Unsa nang naadi ang banner desk? Kato ng mga generic. So, pasabot ang generic na banner. So, may pasabot na. Sir, kung ano-ano, kaya ka na lagi pretending to know. Anak, kaya ka na. Estudyante pa ba na? Yan ay pasabot. Kung generic, the same design. Kung dili generic, of course, may lain ang banner. It becomes an issue for them because if it's just generic, basin dili po sila ang kapagama. Dili po sa Miguel ang kapagama. Maybe our events made it for us or another company gave it as an exchange deal. Kamagbayloan na yung rabian at tanan. Diba? Ni-sponsor ang, for example, ay concepts. So pasabot, printahin ninyo ang San Miguel banners. So dili sila kapagama. So it's not the responsibility to remove those. Dili mo sila ang tao do kapagama. Okay. And other terminologies there. Service exclusivity, lock-ins, exchange deals, collaterals, dagan pa na, ingress, egress, mga ingana. Okay? I'll not delve with that one. Now, since this is one of the major things in events organizing, I'd like you to read this together. Walay maguna, walay maulahi. Sugod ta sa if. 1, 2, 3, go.
If there is a need that cannot be done by a regular by a single person in a single process, but by several activities, make it a community.
Sige. Unsa may pinubring pasabot ana. Kung dili kayang himuon og usa ka tawo, if there is a need that cannot be done by a regular committee kay wala nag-exist or can be done by a single person, you yourself pasabot ana. If na magunang ka sa the main event organizer, naabay tawo makabuhat ani except me, dagway, so siya ko assign. Na may committee ani, kung wala, you appoint or make a team or make a committee. That's the usual root cause what's happening to us. And we are not programmed to be event organizers. But starting from today, ingani gina itong unang-unaon. Kung ikaw gi-assignan, it doesn't mean ikaw tanan. Think, asay dili na ko kaya, mang-invite ko lain. to do this to help me. That's why my time management works well for me. Ano nahimo na ako in so many years because I don't do those things. In our team of so many volunteers, nahurot na dagway dyan akong buong nagamay na lang kayo. If ako patanan ako gawa sa mong PowerPoint, mag-design ng music, mag-choreograph, mag-invite of performers, mag-conceptualize, and everything else. I don't write those things and do those things. I decide and look at their plans and mga suggestions. So, ingana po tang dire. When people are assigned, it doesn't mean you are alone. It only means you will find people to help you. Because ikaw man ang gitagaan. Pareho mo na sa olden times, I now bless you and appoint you to blah, 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 blah. Diba? You're conferred. Doesn't mean ikaw anak. It only means you have the power. The power to find more people to help you. So the law of delegation. Dili yun ako rin tanan. Kaya wak magpisaling, alay kong pagunting, pagbalik na po, ibalik na po, ay ayaw na lang naguntingan, kaya masayop mandagway ka, ako na naguntingan niya rong gabi eh. Dili pwede. In events organizing, you have to trust people. You tell them, guys, alay kong guntingan na, you have to accept the idea. Kabalo na sila mo gunting, kabalo sila kung sa'yo putlo, kung sa'yo dili. Diba? Dili pwede. Ako na lang ani rong gabi kay murag wala man jud mo dawat ani. Ako na lang ani rong gabi kay murag ang kaming mga kauban ako di kabalo. Dili pwede. And ako ningon ako na lang ani kay mahulaw ko manugo or mangayog tabang. In events organizing bawal gina. In events organizing, you have to realize that people will really be there to be with you. Because there's not a one-man show. There's no one-man show yun in events. Hindi na pwede. Naako ba galakaw-lakaw? Ay, na-event dira. Masa na kayo nakabahin sa? Involve people. Involve people, alright? This is the pasabot good. Committee's rule of thumb in doing events is designation. And you have planned well and ready to go, have a successful event. Before we go to the workshop side, I'll show you more pictures of some of the events that we did. Paren. Stories of colors and things that we did for so many years all over. No, nang mabait pa si Daniela. Don't know if you know some of them. Ako din yung mga igagaw, guys. Talag sa magkita. Ako maigsoon, talag sa magkita sa maigsoon. Okay? Of different formats, from community work to concerts to working with the Philippine Army, going up to the mountains, going to Abu Sayyaf area, going to MLF area, and this is in the convention center, the birthday convention center, in an event. Kanang wala ang naidira, ano mga photograph sila? Because of the organizing part of how we project it. How we promote it in front of 6,000, 5,000. Kato man si Ma'am on our events. This was in Canlaon. Tanawa, di ba? Picture perfect. Ako rin upaw nas tumaan. Because we find ways na wala may pockets of people na magbangag-bangag din na. Giplan sila na mga di na pwede mabangag dira. Kay it will help us promote the energy of people. See? Ano maningana gyud? Because it helps a lot in the energy. Munang amo ginang i-project, mas lami a little guot. Pero in pandemic times, mas lami looking at it as if guot. Kaya di man dyan pwede. Kaya para rin the energy is still there. So if we will remove all those chairs that are vacant now, lami na kayo mulang taon.
Nya, sir, nakapag-picture.
Sige. Kaya paglalo ani nila hala daghan absent, ana ang ilang impression. Diba? Okay, we'll go to the workshop. I'd like to invite Charmaine to announce the groupings.
Okay, thank you so much, Sir Dennis. Na pwede na tayong ginhawa. Okay, so just looking at the presentation and then remembering that we still have these activities. Okay, so our groupings will be decided based on the assigned nato sa aton sa virtual library nato. So sa arts is Ma'am Esme with Rilin and Sir Jomar. Also si Ma'am Christine ang kuyog nila. So ano ko na?
Yara, later no. Yara
Okay,
sa
so pag kuan sa mo tapos ka sa daan. Then si Ma'am La Salita, Ma'am Angela, and Sir John. Okay, so Ma'am Kalibo, Ma'am Annalisa, and then si Ma'am Annabel. Ano si Ma'am Annabel? Si Sir Elmar, si Ma'am Kaeste, o si Sir Romel.
Pilit ma'am, pikas mo.
Okay na, kompleto ra. Then si Ma'am Elvis, si Ma'am Marinho. O, kisa inyong scanner gani, Ma'am? Okay. Kamu sanduhan ng na yun. Na si Ma'am Elsie o si Jasper ang tato. Pangitaan ka ng urukuan ng Paris.
Gladys na lang.
Oo, si Ma'am Elsie o si Ma'am Gladys. Pwede. Si Ma'am Ann o si Sir Rodney. Wala man. So, imo na lang to si Ma'am Elsie, si Ma'am Gladys o si Miss Ann. Silang tulo na lang.
Si Ma'am Jinky din sa
Si Ma'am Jinky para tulong yung Then, ano to sir?
Kailangan groupings na ako ba? Naalagin group ka na.
Si Ma'am Annalisa o si Ma'am Karibo, si Sir Falier. Kaya masarang na si Sir na. Kinsa ang walay kauban pa sa si Ma'am Mona o ako. O si Sir Falier. Then ang catalogers is kuan, iusa lang ma'am. Ikaw ma'am o si Ma'am Arlene? Si Sir Elmar, kinsa imong kuyog sir? Si Ma'am Este? Wala si Ma'am Este? Si Sir Elmar o si Sir Falier. Kinsa yung walay kauban? Si Ma'am Lida, si Ma'am Sara, si Ma'am Arlene o si Sir Ganswell? Okay na si Sir Falier, si Sir Elmar o si Sir Gadswell. Dayon si Ma'am Sara, si Ma'am Arlene o si Ma'am Lida. Okay? So please go to your groups na.
Before lingkod sa instruction muna. Okay. Okay. Time press. Tuyo na to nga time press because you will be presenting your plan here. Pitch it. You'll pitch it in front for 3 minutes na pitching ha. Nagyon. I-pitch ninyo ang idea ba of what you have planned. So, the planning time will only be 15 minutes also. Let's look at the result. So, if it's not that well done, it means kulang oras to prove to you na it really needs time. Di ba? Pero ayaw po mo, ingo na lang sige na lang, mura na po na ingo, kay tao ta, mapakasala ta. Dili. You try your best to make the best of 15 minutes, pero I will not take it against you if dili gyud kompleto or dili kayo maayo, kay tungod to really point out to you that it really needs time, right? So you have to plan for your e-talk or e-DIY. Muna ang ato ang plan. Okay? You help the team na asa mo para sa ilang assigned e-talk or e-DIY. So you will be pitching man. By the way, the format is based on the contribution ni Tudlo ni Ma'am Kalibo. This is based on the what she learned in asa to ang country, ma'am? Sa Vienna? Asa to, ma'am? Sa Vienna. Dito ni. So, since it's very kuan kayo, full-blown pod, I will not demand na mahumana ninyo. Listen. I will not demand na mahumana ninyo, kay di man dyan na mahuman agad. Pero, naatag ng clearance si Ma'am Dinoy nga you will be submitting this at least 1 month before your e-talk para ma-check. Okay? And execute it. Kay pasig na pa changes si Ma'am Dinoy, iyang i-comment. So ayaw mo katingalag mingos Ma'am Dinoy, dili ni Chada, dili ni Mao, kay para ra gyud maka-learn punta. Okay, but the pitching here, you can tell it as if you're pitching na ma-approve na in an ABS-CBN na ma-approve na as a show or as an event. So convince us, ako o si Ma'am Binoy, kunuhay, naki-committee ma'am, wala na. Convince us Ma'am Binoy na maayo na inyong idea for your ETO or EDYY. Okay? So the components are, picturira ninyo, manana, picturira, dulan ninyo, the 15 minutes starts now. I-present, i-pitch for 3 minutes pitching. Elmar, at least one EDIY ra.
Pila yung mga answer? Pila ka audience?
As in, walay.
Wala yung mga.
Please anchor it to something realistically celebrated or framework. Like for example, the month, masig na ay celebration for that month, ngayon yun ay anchor. Or like for example, i-base ninyo sa sustainable development goals or any UN. Sorry. Wala rin. Sulay daw. May alayon na. Orang naputol.
Now it's a lot.
Ayun, sir.
Sige ko na, sir. For those joining us live, we thank you for being with us. We are now in a workshop setting. We'll now be ending also our live. So if you have questions about events organizing, please do not hesitate to click the message and of course tell us what you'd like to learn more. Thank you so much for joining us. Ma'am Elizabeth, thank you for joining us. Napaka.
Yes, sir. I'm here. Thank you. Kumana?
Shop na sila. Wala ka sa campus? Wala ka sa campus, ma'am?
Na ako sa balay.
May tatog na ka sa campus kay ani ami.
Goni.
Oo. Mag-present ni sila nun sa ilang i-plan
Okay.
in 15 minutes.
Okay.
Ang kwan daw,